through the desert as three intimidatingly bold tribesmen approach them. They are then taken into a camp.
So these are the spies.
We're just travelers traveling the desert, totally not suspicious at all.
Yeah, it's totally not suspicious that you were seen at the enemy camp 3 days ago, talking with one of the troops there.
Hey look, I'm just a dude who wanders the desert and knows the stars. I have no information about troops or about the movement of the tribes. I was simply acting as a guide for my friend here.
Sure, so who's your friend? Hey, what's a foreigner doing here?
After the two rationed with one another, the chat seemed to be getting nowhere. Then the alchemist put Santiago on the spot, claiming that he was an alchemist. Then the alchemist told the tribesmen that Santiago has brought money to their tribe and gave the chief his gold coins.
What is an alchemist?
It's a man who understands nature and the world. If he wanted to, he could destroy this camp with just the force of the wind. He really could, dude.
I want to see it.
Well then, Mr. Intimidating Man number 1, he needs 3 days. He's going to turn into the wind to demonstrate his powers. If not, we offer you our lives.
You cannot offer me something that is already mine, you idiot.
At this point, Santiago was consumed by fear, acting as a coward. Despite the fact that the alchemist had just saved his life, Santiago got mad at the alchemist.
You gave them everything I had, everything I saved in my life.
Well, what good would it be to you if I had to die? Your money saved us for 3 days. It's not often that money saves a person's life.
Well, how am I supposed to transform into the wind? I'm not an alchemist.
Giving in to your fears will not allow you to talk to your heart.
But I don't know how to turn myself into the wind.
There is only one thing that makes a dream impossible to achieve, the fear of failure.
I'm not afraid. I just don't know how to turn myself into the wind. What if I fail?
Well, your life depends on it, and if you fail, you'll die trying to realize your personal legend. That's better than dying like millions of other people who never knew their personal legends. But it's okay, the dread of death makes people a lot more aware of their lives.
I still have no idea how to turn myself into the wind.
Remember what I told you. The world is only the visible aspect of God. And that is what alchemy does to bring spiritual perfection into contact with the material plane.
What are you doing?
Feeding my falcon.
If I can't turn myself into the wind, we're going to die, so why feed your falcon?
Well, you're the one who may die, because I already know how to turn myself into the wind.
On the second day, the boy climbed to the top of the cliff near the camp. He spent the entire afternoon of the second day looking out over the desert and listening to his heart. The boy knew the desert sensed his fear. They both spoke the same language. On the third day, the chief met with his officers and with the alchemist met the boy on the cliff.
It's going to take a while.
We're in no hurry. We are men of the desert.
Santiago began to speak with the desert. What do you want here today? Didn't you spend enough time looking at me yesterday?
Somewhere you are holding the person I love. So when I look out over your sands, I am also looking at her. I want to return to her and I need your help so I can turn myself into the wind.
What is love?
Love is a falcon's flight over your sands, because for him, you are a green field from which he always returns with gain. He knows your rocks, your dunes, and your mountains, and you are generous to him.
The falcon's beak carries bits of me, myself. For years, I care for his game, feeding it with the little water I have, and then show him where the game is. And one day, as I enjoy the fact that his game thrives on my land, the falcon dives out of the sky and takes what I have created.
But that's why you created the game in the first place, to nourish the falcon, and the falcon that then nourishes the man. That's how the world goes.
So is that what love is?
Yes, that's what love is. It's what makes the game become the falcon become the man, and the man turn into the desert.
I don't understand.
But you can at least understand that somewhere in your sands there is a woman waiting for me, and that's why I have to turn myself into the wind.
I'll give you my sands to help the wind to blow, but I alone cannot do anything. You have to ask for help from the wind. Then a breeze began to blow, and the wind approached the boy.
Help me. One day you can carry the voice of my loved one to me,
Who taught you to speak the language of the desert and the wind?
my heart.
You can't be the wind. We are too two very different things.
That's not true. I have inside me the winds, the deserts, the oceans, the stars, and everything created in the universe. We are all made of the same hand and have the same soul.
I heard what you were talking about the other day with the alchemist. You said everything has its own personal legend, but people can't turn themselves into the wind.
Just teach me to be the wind for a few moments, so you and I can talk about the limitless possibilities of people and the winds.
The wind became curious. It wanted to speak about those things, but did not know how to turn a man into the wind.
This is what we call love. When you are in love, you can do anything in creation. With love, even men can turn themselves into the wind, as long as the wind helps, of course.
The wind began, out of irritation, to blow, raising the desert sands. However, realized he couldn't turn man into the wind, and knew nothing of love.
In my travels around the world, I've often seen people speaking of love and looking towards the heaven. Maybe it's better to ask heaven.
Then help me do that. Fill this place with a sandstorm so strong that it blots out the sun. Then I can look into the heaven without blinding myself.
So the wind blew with all its strength, and the sky was filled with sand. The sun was turned into a golden disk.
Maybe we better end this. Let's stop this.
I want to see the greatness of Allah. I want to see a man turn himself into the wind.
The wind told me that you know about love. If you know about love, you must also know about the soul of the world because it's made of love.
From where I am, I can see the soul of the world. It communicates with my soul, and together we cause the plants to grow and the sheep to seek out shade. From where I am, and I'm a long way from Earth, I learned how to love. I know that if I came even a bit closer to the Earth, everything there would die, and the soul of the world would no longer exist. So we contemplate each other and what we want from each other, and I give it life and warmth, and it gives me my reason for living.
Oh, so you know about love.
And I know about the soul of the world, because we have talked at great length to each other during the endless trip of the universe. It tells me its greatest problem is that, up until now, only the minerals and vegetables understands that all things are one. There is no need for iron to be the same as copper, or copper to be the same as gold. Each performs its own exact function as a unique being, and everything would be a symphony of peace if the hand that wrote all of this had stopped on the 5th day of creation, but there was a 6th day.
You are wise because you observe everything from a distance, but you don't know about love. If there hadn't been a 6th day, man would not have existed. Copper would always be copper, and lead just lead. It's true that everything has its personal legend, but one day that personal legend will be realized. So each thing has to transform itself into something better, to acquire a new personal legend, until someday the soul of the world becomes one thing only.
The sun thought about that and decided to shine more brightly. The wind, which was enjoying the conversation, started to blow with greater force so that the sun would not blind the boy. Santiago continued to explain why alchemy is important, and then explained to the sun that love is something that transforms and improves the soul of the world.
But right now, I need you to help me transform into the wind.
The sun does not know how to turn a boy into the wind, so it tells the boy to ask the hand that wrote all. The wind blew even harder, which blew the tents from their ties. Santiago turned around to face the hand that wrote all. Santiago begins to pray and sees that the hand understood that it was a larger design that had moved the universe to the point at which 6 days of creation had evolved into a masterworks. The simum blew that day as it had never blown before. For generations thereafter, the Arabs recounted the legend of a boy who turned himself into the wind, almost destroying a military camp, in a defiance of the most powerful chiefs in the desert.